All right. So one thing I want to talk about is it's a simple thing, but it's so often overlooked. It's just, what does the scripture actually say? What does the scripture actually say? What does it say, or what doesn't it say? Now, there's a verse in Revelations that was very interesting, and it just says this for this book of the Bible. It's just like, anybody who adds anything to this book shall plagues be added unto them. Anybody that takes anything away from this book, plagues shall his name should be taken away from the book of life, or something like that. We need, so it's just like, be careful what you say about these scriptures, and pretty much. And I think we should be doing that with a lot of scripture. What does the scripture actually says? And I see people do this, and especially in the realm of Bible prophecy, but they do this also in other realms too. Like, I've been listening to some teaching about certain things, and one of the things that came to cross my mind is that like when Jesus talked about healing the sick, or when they was talking about healing the sick in the New Testament, we'll just say in particular, like, Jesus hardly prayed for anybody as far as healing the sick. He might have commanded them to do something. He might have spat on the ground, rubbed it on their eyes. He might have said, go and sin no more. He might have said, take up their bed and walk. Or he might have said, this person is healed, and that person is healed. He might have even cast out an evil spirit. He commanded Lazarus. But I know he laid hands on people, but where does it say he prayed for somebody? And if it does, it wasn't I don't remember. I mean, it might have, but it wasn't most of the time. And even with the apostles in the New Testament, when did they ever pray for somebody? I mean, we saw Paul's cloth, the garments that was on Paul placed on people, and demons was cast out, and people were healed. We saw people following Peter's shadow. We saw Paul commanding somebody to rise and walk, I believe, when he saw they had faith. And then we saw Peter commanding somebody to rise and walk when he rise and walk in, like, Acts chapter 3. But we didn't really see too many people pray for the sick. Now, I'm not saying, now the Bible talks about laying hands on the sick, but it never, but how often do you see people really pray for the sick in the New Testament? I'm not saying praying for the sick is legitimate. It's not legitimate. That's not what I'm implying. But I'm just focusing on what the Bible actually says. Or like Revelations, I remember somebody losing a contest when I was young because they asked the question, is Revelation about the past, present, or future? And somebody was just like, one of the people that I was helping study for was just like, all of them. Because Revelations 1:19 talks about this. I will show you what I think he says, talk about, I forget the verse. I think it's talking about was, is to come, right? I know, and he was just like, Neil's just like, no, Revelation is the future, but I mean, clearly Revelation is about the past, present, and future, especially our past, present, and future. Because you have the 7 churches that is our past, that was mentioned in the Revelations, and then you have Revelation 17 and 18 that talk about the 7-headed, 10-horned beast that was and what is and is to come, because 5 had fallen before the time of the book of Revelations happened, and 1 was around during that time, and 1's yet in the future. And then so Revelations wasn't just the future tense, like a lot of people said, even though that was just the idea I had going in it. So a lot of people think that the seals, trumpets, and vials only happened during the tribulation, and they might, but then again, they might not. They might not. I think this is something to consider. Or Daniel 9:26, where it says he should confirm a covenant with me for 1 week, and in the midst of that covenant, he shall cause sacrifices in the oblation of the sea. It didn't say how. It didn't say what the covenant was. It didn't say how he confirmed the covenant. And people say he signed the peace treaty. We don't know how he signed the peace treaty. I don't know what that covenant was. It might not be a peace treaty. We don't know how he confirmed the covenant. He could have just nodded his head, as somebody pointed out. We got to acknowledge what the Bible actually says and versus what our theory is. Now, and even if it says something somewhere else that added another piece to the puzzle, we got to acknowledge it said it's somewhere else. It doesn't say it here. It says it somewhere else. So we don't just mix scriptures up and things of this nature. All right. So this is where we will run into a lot of error, because that's where a lot of traditions of men seep into the Bible. And Jesus had a problem with a lot of the traditions of men, because a lot of people who held on to the traditions of men were giving people were the things that were giving Jesus a lot of problems. But anyways, that's really all I have to say about that. Thanks for your time. Thanks for watching, and have a good day. Peace.